This project is laying a brick and block composite wall. And a lot of times we do this because sometimes we have to create our own brick ledge. And a lot of times what we'll do is we'll get a wider block, like an 8-inch block, get it up to our specific height, and then put a backer wall, which is a 4-inch block, and then our brick ledge will be created. The first step we're going to do here is get a dry layout, and you can see that we marked our tails with a pencil, so we have a guide of where we're going and how thick our joints are going to be. After that, we're going to lay our block up, and this day we particularly laid 3 block high, which is a total of 24 inches, and I just checked it, and he's got it right on 24 and right on 24. All right, so now when we come back, you can see the dry layout of the 4-inch block wall and the backer wall. So when we come back, we're going to have this course laid, and then I'm going to show you how flashing is done, laying over and tying in the 4-inch wall to the 8-inch wall. All right, so the last time we got together, we were doing a composite wall with a brick and block with an 8-inch block wall for your ledge, a 4-inch backup. As you can see, the block were already laid. So what we did on the laying the back wall, we basically spotted a 4 here and a 4 over here to keep your bond, and set a brick on there and a brick on there, and basically they ran the line. So it's just more accurate and a little more faster. Okay, so next what we're going to do is we're going to install some flashing, so if it rains or anything, water cannot penetrate through the cores or the brick ledge. So pretty much what you're going to do is you get some vinyl flashing, and we already had it pre-cut. So let's see if I can do it together, or I might need some help. Chris, come here and help me quick. All right? So what we're going to do is you basically want this to cover the ledge. So we're going to put this down like this, put it right here. All right? Now, you want to leave as much as you can on the ledge, and then take a brick and place it. And then we're just going to walk it all the way down and get this thing perfect. All right? And make sure that ledge is covered. All right? Going to keep doing that till here, and one more. All right? Now we're probably going to steal one. Now, what you should have is an equal joint, and most of the time on the job site, the cores in between will be filled solid. So if any water does get in here, it cannot get into the cores. All right, usually. Now, what we'll do is, usually we'll take a brick and overlap a good inch. So, just like so. And we'll run it down. Give me another brick, Chris. Thank you. All right? And you want to try keeping this as tight as you can against the wall. All right? Another one here. All right? And another one here. So pretty much what you'll do when you're done, the purpose of this is a block will go over top of this wall. So if rain comes, this is called counter flashing, where the flashing counter flash right into the block. So the water can come right down and head out of here. When we come back, he's going to set this block and that block, and then we'll explain the process of mudding over this vinyl flashing. All right, the last time we talked, we had one course on, and we were just starting to install the vinyl flashing and counter flashing it into the first course, on the top of the first course. So as you can see, when we got done, we had this going, put mud down to keep that vinyl flashing down, and laid this first course. And then spread the rest, and tied in the vinyl flashing to this course above it. So now if rain does happen or moisture does get behind, it can go right out and nothing can get back into the building. So that's the whole design about flashing, and flashing has gotten to be so important anymore in the field of masonry. It is ridiculous with what's been coming on. So it's a very important part of doing a composite wall. So now what we did, we laid this wall through. So the next step is going to be putting the brick veneer on the wall. And if you're running a modular foot rule and you're running brick and block or masonry composite wall, all the measurements will line up and equal to 8 inches and 16 inches. And with brick, if you use a modular 6, you should be working out to the top of the wall. And right now, you can see he has it right on 16 inches. So right now, all he's going to do is mark a modular 6 going up, and at the top of this modular 6, he should be at the top of the 8 inches. And when he gets done, this should be right up. So if we have to put a window or a door frame or anything on top of this, we are hitting our heights with both walls of the composite wall. When we come back, we're going to show you the layout and the first couple leads racking back. This next step, although a very short step, is pretty much one of the most important steps when we're laying the brick, is we're doing a layout and getting our joints perfectly even throughout wherever we're going to lay. So on this composite wall, we first did the layout. Now, we're going to be after the layout, we can leave the layout sit. And what we'll do is build our leads off of the brick here. So probably what we're going to do is when he's ready to lay this lead, he's going to mark on a modular 6, mark a spot here, here, and at the top. And when we come back, you're going to see the leads built and be ready to lay the brick to the line. All right, so before we showed you about some vapor barriers, some flashing, and how the 4-inch back wall ties into everything. Well, now we're into the brick part of the composite wall. And there's so many different ways that we can go about building this that I thought we'd discuss 2 different ways of how a mason will go about hitting their heights at 16 inches the same way. One way is sometimes we can't put a dead man up, a temporary dead man, so we can just lay the line. So sometimes we have to build a brick lead going up. And what will happen is you can see the layout is made. And we didn't even, I just kicked the brick back a little bit, and we didn't even have to worry about that and keep it. So your layout is always the same. Or you can do like this young mason did. They made their marks where they can lay it, and they can take those bricks off actually. But we kept them on. So one way we can do is building a lead. And you can see how he did a rack back lead and worked his way up and hit the height at 16 inches. The deal with this is it's just the same thing, but sometimes you can't put a dead man up, or sometimes on the prints they require you to build the leads. So right now you can see, and the steps are there, is basically checking your height, marking your mark, level, first brick, make sure it's perfect, and then run your lead. And then you go level, plumb, plumb, and straight in. All right, and you can see how this is done. Now, sometimes you can go by a dead man. Now, most of the time we'll put a wood dead man up, aluminum corner poles, but here we just did a simple thing with block, make sure it's perfectly level and plumb, and we're going to work off the line. So basically what happens is, instead of building the lead, we can put right on the lead here. You can check your range by seeing how you're lining up by just putting that line on and making sure everything lines up to the wall adjacent to it. So you can see right here, he made his marks. So when he gets to the top, he's hitting this. So what's next can come down, and we'll show you, is basically we can just run to the line going through. And you're going to see the next step, where you're going to see a couple weep holes every 3 brick, which is every 2 feet, roughly. So when we come back, you're going to see some weep holes in here. Explaining the weep holes is basically if the water comes down, we have to have a spot where the water can get out. And those holes will be installed instead of the mortar joints. When we come back, you're going to see this pretty much the first course laid in and what's involved with getting water out of the cavity wall. All right, so the last time we came, we basically just had our dry layout, and the leads was built by this way, and we also had a dead man, which a lot of times is built with wood or just aluminum corner poles are built instead of building the lead. So basically what's going to happen is he ran that first lead in and threw the weep holes in, which was every 3 brick, which is her 2 feet, goes in so the water can escape between both walls and the water can get out and can get out of that spot. The next one is he's just basically going to run the line. And basically like the next course, we're going to have him go up to the 3rd course here and get up off his dead man and hit his established mark. Now once he's at this 3-course mark, he should be level to the 8-inch block mark there. So when we come back, after I show you the weep holes, we should be basically up to the top of this 16 course, and then I'll show you the significance of running a composite wall and modular masonry and what the importance of running that 16-inch increment. Now, one thing I want to point out to you before we go into the next step is you can see the weep holes are established, and right here's one way. We'll zoom in on this a little bit, and we'll show them that this is one way we've done it. where the water can escape through just basically an empty head joint. Or sometimes we have so many different ways of the weep holes are established. This is one that's manufactured. It basically looks like a corrugated cardboard that's fit in between the head joints, and this way the water can seep out of that. When we come back, we're going to show you the brick ran up to the top of the 16-inch wall. So right now we have the finished product of a composite wall with a brick ledge with a header course going through it. So let's recap a little bit of what happened. First thing we did was we did a dry layout, and we made our marks, and we chalked our line, and we had a layout where to put the block. Then the next thing what we did is we built a 3/4 high lead, or a 2, and we laid to the line on both sides. Then after that, we came to the back, and we laid our 4-inch block, because with an 8-inch block and a 4-inch block, it created a 4-inch brick ledge. Then what we did after we laid the block up, we flashed it in order to keep the water, in case it got in through the walls, that it has somewhere to escape. All right, so the flashing came down, the vinyl flashing came down along the drip edge, and then we created, when we did a dry layout of the brick, we gave room for weep holes, which is, if water gets in, it's unable to escape. We gave you 2 types of weep holes. There are so many of them, we could have went crazy. The one is just your basic, leave a gap so the water can go out of this hole, or we put in a little vented weep holes. It's just another way that water doesn't clog up into it and it's able to escape. After that, we did after the dry layout, we built leads. And we made sure we hit, since we're on a composite wall, we ran them on a 6 on a modular foot rule, and we met at 16 inches. Once we hit our heights, which is basically this brick matched 16 inches on the two of the 4-inch block. Now it was time to hit our heights. And as long as we stayed on a 6-inch modular, we basically got the top of the block. We hit our heights, and that's what we get paid to do. After that, we then put a header course, and we laid it out, and then we spotted these two brick, and we spotted these 2 brick. We popped the line up, ran the brick, and according to what we laid out, and we laid them out according to the line. You see, a lot is done building leads and running the line. Then, but the main thing is, you can see every 2 brick on the header basically was 1 brick. So he had his marks, but a great guide was keeping 2 brick to a mortar joint. 2 brick to a brick. 2 headers to 1 brick. 2 headers to 1 brick. And that kind of helped him with his layout. Does it happen all the time? No. And that's why you got to lay out. So there is a complete project from the 8-inch brick block, 4-inch backup, 4-inch brick ledge, 2 masonry pieces, which means a brick and a block backup, and a header course. There is a composite wall with a brick ledge with a header course on the top.